All right, Conrado, and we're live.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Conrado Guerrero. Welcome to our regional meeting on this day, Tuesday, October 27th. And before I start, I want to let everybody know that if you have any questions during the meeting, you can type them in the Q&A part of the Zoom, and organizers will be responding to your questions live. And we will also be addressing questions at the end, like we always do. But be assured, if your question does not get answered, it will be responded to by a staff person later today. And next, let's start over. I'm going to send it over to our executive director, Max Arias, to set up our meeting for today. Max.
Hello, thank you, Conrado. Good evening, afternoon to everybody. We'll be brief today because I know we have a lot of work to do. Just really want to connect this election right now to our bargaining at every table. I hear some cumbias playing. Okay, they're gone. All right, to our bargaining, right? So this election has Prop 15, and I just really want to frame that Prop 15 brings 11 to 12 billion dollars additional revenue to schools and communities. 40% of it goes to K through 12. As well, and communities. So that's really important for the funding, and it also frees up money in other places of the budget to be able to achieve other things such as improvement in community college and also family childcare providers issues that we are facing right now. So let's all remember this election. That's part one of revenue. The other thing that's important, of course, is the federal election. That's why many of you have been calling battleground states such as Wisconsin and Nevada to try and get those folks to realize what they have to do, which is to vote for Biden and Kamala Harris. And why is that? It's important for many reasons, but it also matters in our collective bargaining agreements. We have LAUSD up for bargaining, the whole contract. We have family childcare providers, their first contract. We have Santa Monica, Malibu. We have LACCD, and we have reopeners every other place. So what does the federal have to do with it? As we know, the pandemic hit and it created a deficit in the budget in California in the billions of dollars. I believe last I heard was $54 billion. It is a crazy swing to a state that had a surplus, right? So immediately as we all jumped, I want to remind what we all did, we jumped to demand that the legislature enact a wealth tax and tax the millionaires, because we knew that there was going to be more money needed to open the schools safely. And we're all living it. All of you are living it, right? Having to reopen the schools and the campuses in the college district safely. It becomes difficult without more of us. So that is what the demand is. But at the time that we demanded, the legislature and the governor disagreed and did not want to do that. They were dependent on federal money. They said, well, the federal government will send us money. We knew that wasn't true under a federal government that has the Senate controlled by Republicans and Trump as the president. As you all are aware, there was no additional stimulus. In fact, the legislature wrote a bill that tied a lot of the services to federal funding, and without it, they were going to start cutting, including trying to force family childcare providers to pay family fees that had been waived for families. We know that we face a shortfall as K through 12 in the billions of dollars. And therefore, it is very important to win the election, to win not only the presidency, but the Senate. That's not all in our hands in California, but we are a SEIU and have been supporting other states. And so if that happens, we know we will receive money from the federal government. So we have to give it our all to win both federally and Prop 15 and at the state ballot, as well as other important measures. And for example, winning the DA in LA, we need a more progressive district attorney. That's why we're supporting Lausd. And not forget the board members that actually make decisions about our wages, benefits, and working conditions, such as Patricia Castellanos, Scott Schmerelson, Scott Zvonkin, David Vela. Oh, and I can continue because just about in every jurisdiction, we are up doing that. So we have to win revenue, Prop 15, federal government. We have to win, but it means revenue for our jobs. And then we also have to win those board members that are progressive, that will make sure that the money is equitably distributed to all. If we achieve these things, as we know, as we did last time with Prop 55, and before that with Prop 30, then we know when we go into bargaining, we have strength in saying we fought to get these funds there. If we do not win, we are still going to wage a fight in every single one of our jurisdictions. But when there's less money out there, the fight yields less results. So right now, we all need to be focused. I commit to phone bank on Saturday, and I want to challenge everybody here to join me. I don't know the exact time right now. I think it's 10 p.m. Some of you have been phone banking. Some of us done some phone banking, but I commit and I challenge everybody in this call to join me on Saturday to phone bank, and we're going to challenge our executive board members. I know we have President Conrado Guerrero here. We have Marisol Aguilar here, Claudia Iraeta from the executive board, and they're going to help us challenge everybody. We all must phone bank. And I'm going to stop on that there. Want to give a brief update on childcare negotiations, because the family childcare providers are having an action today, so they can't be here to give us a report. We will hear later the report from all other jurisdictions. I will give a brief summary of family childcare providers. So what happened is the state of California passed a trailer bill, as I shared with you before, and they did three things. One, it would force family childcare providers to start paying family fees of those children that are sheltering at home. Effective net hit to the revenue, no money for providers. The state also said that if they have to close their shop because somebody has COVID-19, they have to close their center, their family childcare center, then they would only be supported for one closure of 10 days. If it happens again, they probably would have to close the childcare center. And the third thing that happened is that, as you may be aware, family childcare providers are supporting children, school-age children, K through 12 students in their childcare homes, and they are having to buy additional equipment, pay for more staff to support them, and a lot of expenses, and they're getting no support. As a result, about 5,200 family providers have closed their homes in the state of California, affecting about 50,000 children. So family childcare providers got together. We started slamming the state at the table, and as our local knows, we started organizing for action, and we got the governor and the legislature to move $110 million to support family childcare providers for the family fees. And that's good victory, but only a partial victory. We need to continue to push on the other two issues I shared with you. So we continue right now. Family childcare providers are electing their bargaining team. And in other jurisdictions, we already have bargaining teams elected, such as LAUSD and LACCD. And now it's time to just focus, win big in November, and then let's start demanding improvements at our work sites and our jobs. And that's what I have for all of y'all. And I am now going to turn it over to Political Director Lester Garcia.
All right, thank you, Max. We are officially 1 week away, less than a week away from November the 3rd. Folks, it couldn't come soon enough. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the work that we have ahead of us. There's a lot of noise out there. If you're like me and you're watching the Dodger games, you're seeing at least a dozen different commercials dozen different commercials talking about propositions and candidates and all this stuff at every single commercial break. And sometimes it's really hard to know what to believe and who to believe, right? So we want to spend some time talking a little bit about some of the key propositions for us today, as well as some of the ways that you can get involved. So I'm going to share my screen here really quick. Oh, excuse me. Here we go. All right, can y'all see that? All right, awesome.
Yes.
So we have the 2020 elections, and as Max has already said, and as if you've gone to any other meeting other than today in the last 6 months or the last year, you would have heard us talk about this. Proposition 15, we're seeing a lot of negative ads out there, folks, around this stuff, talking about food prices are going to go up, rent's going to go up, everything is going to go up. So we want to make it very, very clear so that when you have those conversations with your family members this weekend, when you go watch that Dodger game and you guys are talking about those commercials when they come on, you can clarify for them that Proposition 15 is going to give us $12 billion per year for schools and communities. It does not tax homeowners or renters. It only focuses on corporations and commercial properties. I'm going to say it again. It only focuses on commercial properties. It only focuses on commercial properties. That means people that own industrial buildings and companies that own large swaths of land that are worth more than $3 million. In fact, it makes the rich companies pay their fair share, because right now, homeowners, if you own a home, you're the one that's bearing the burden for most of these public services. And just like Jeff Bezos at Amazon and just like Donald Trump, these companies are getting away with not having to pay their fair share. As a matter of fact, in a recent analysis, the average taxes for homeowners are expected to go down about $194 per year. So not only is what's coming out of the no side complete fabrications, not only will it not be passed down to renters, not only will your property taxes not go up, but Proposition 15 can help your property taxes actually go down. And I should say, just really quick, we're all education workers here. We work for school districts. We work in childcare. And the fact of the matter is, you'll have heard people say it. And I know every single time we have a regional meeting here, in the chat box and in the questions, there's questions around layoffs. There's questions around what's going to happen. Well, let me tell you, folks, I don't know what the future holds, but I can tell you that if this proposition does not pass, then, you know, we're going back to 2008 levels, right? We have to be prepared to confront 2008 levels of budget cuts. So just moving on really quickly, yes on 15. Prop 22, this is a big one. You hear all of those things, and they're the yes on Prop 22 side is parading around, you know, all kinds of folks, and they're very purposeful at putting black and brown folks out there and talking about the hardships they've been facing, talking about how the pandemic has created challenges and how Uber, Lyft, and all of these other places provide the flexible schedules they need in order to provide for their families, folks. Well, Uber, Lyft, they're the same as Amazon. They're the same as all of these other gigantic corporations. They're the same as the bosses we want to work with. The fact of the matter is, unions, all of us, passed a law last year, AB 5, that extended worker protections to people who work as gig workers. So if you work for Postmates, if you work for Lyft, if you work for Uber, you were considered an employee. And the companies then, that means that they had to give you things like respecting minimum wage, giving you overtime, looking at things like healthcare, workers' comp, unemployment, all of these things that they would have to pay into. So what did Uber and Lyft do? They put Proposition 22 on the ballot, right? So what Proposition 22 will do is that it will eliminate the law that unions pass in order to give themselves a pass. So what it will result in is no healthcare for these employees, no overtime, and no living wage, right? None of these things that they have to do, right? They basically get themselves off the hook. They said, you guys passed this law, you moved the legislature, you moved the governor to sign it. Well, guess what? We have $150 million that says we're going to flip it. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. So we want to make sure that we stand strong as union members with all of our brothers out and sisters out there in the gig economy and vote no on Proposition 22. The last one we're going to cover today here live is yes on 25. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but I'm glad it came out. Proposition 25 is about ending money bail. Now, for those of you, maybe personally, maybe somebody you know, have ever had the misfortune of winding up behind bars or being accused of a crime, you know that in many cases, you can't get out of jail unless you pay the bail. Doing it again. And so what we did is, again, this is another example of rich companies trying to come in and stop the efforts that unions and civil rights organizations have passed. So last year, we passed a law ending money bail, basically saying that you don't need to pay bail to get out of if you've been arrested or if you're on trial, right? That it should be based on your history, based on flight, based on a whole bunch of different factors, but it shouldn't be based on whether or not you have money. And we have an example right here. This is very, might seem like an extreme example, but it's type of example that happens every day. Brock Turner, if you all remember this guy, accused of rape at Stanford University, eventually convicted of rape, but the judge, who was friends with the dad, let him off, right? So here we have Brock Turner, accused of rape at Stanford, afford bail, released the same day, right? And then we have the story of Mr. Kenneth Humphrey, accused of stealing cologne. could not afford bail, spent 351 days in jail. This happens every single day, and it's happening to poor people. It's happening to Black folks. It's happening to brown folks, right? It's people of color that are suffering in our prison system. And so, yes, on 25 is about eliminating money bail. You shouldn't have to be rich to get out. For those of you who may not be familiar with the process, on TV, it looks fast. You go up, you get accused of the crime, whatever. You watch Law and Order, an hour later, there's a verdict, right? The fact of the matter is the criminal justice system moves slow. Imagine how long it takes to move your grievance along. How long does it take when at the district, when we have to burn this up? The criminal justice system moves slow. And so from the time you're arrested to the time of trial, you're talking about 18 months of languishing in prison, even if you're found not guilty. So this will end that system. We need everybody to vote yes on 25. All right. And then just moving along, we want to encourage folks. We're not going to go over all of them today, but don't worry, we have you covered. We have your personalized voter guide. Most of you should have received something in the mail, but if you want something on your phone that's personalized to your address, then you go here. We'll go ahead and we'll drop it into the chat, but it's SEIU99.org/civic engine. And all you do is you type in your address and it'll give you all of the different candidates that our union has endorsed. And remember, folks, when we fight, we win. And when we vote together, we win. I'm going to move along here. We want to make sure that you take a look at our voter guide, take that link, text it to folks, put it on your Instagram, put it on your Facebook, put it on your Twitter. Make sure that when you take a picture of yourself with that sticker on, that you're also sending your friends and families, neighbors, and everybody the Local 99 voter guide. All right. Now, it's one thing to tell people about what's on the ballot. It's another thing to make sure that we get this passed. So we've been working hard. All of you have been working for the last year, first to qualify this measure and then to get it passed. Well, we're at the home stretch here, folks, right? So starting, I know that there's a common thing that election day is next Tuesday. Guess what, folks? Elections started over 20 days ago. October 5th is when ballots drop. People have started voting already. So we need your help to make sure that we pass Proposition 15 as part of our Get Out the Vote effort. You can sign up at SEIU99.org, but we'll have plenty of opportunities Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday to participate in the phone bank and make sure that we get our votes out for Prop 15. All right. The other thing I want to say really quickly, you all have heard me say this before, but we need to stay connected. We need to join the fight. We're on a Zoom right now. And so we've had to move everything, all of the work that we do onto these virtual platforms, because that's just the reality of the world that we're living in, right? Normally we'd organize in a workplace, right? We'd all get together, maybe at a break room, or and we'd be able to have these conversations. Now, because we're not able to do that, we have Outreach Circle. Now, Outreach Circle is going to make sure that we all stay connected, engaged, and that we can all activate, not just around the elections. You'll see a lot of content on there right now about the elections, but pretty soon we're going to move into negotiations. We're going to move into reopening. We're going to move into all of these different things, right? And we want to make sure that you stay connected. And so Outreach Circle is a really great app that allows you to stay connected, but then also to activate your coworkers, activate your neighbors, activate your family behind all of these propositions, or later down the road, should we find ourselves needing to do an action on the district, this is a good way to keep folks involved and keep them a part of it. So what do you have to do to download Outreach Circle, stay connected? All you got to do, take your phone, and literally right now, you can do it as I'm speaking. Take your phone, point it at the screen, the QR code that is on the screen, and you'll get something that looks like that. And you click on that, and that'll take you straight to Outreach. Oh, you can't see it there, but to our Outreach Circle. And once you go on the page, you'll see everything from our voter guide. You'll see our phone bank schedule. You'll see all kinds of ways that you all can get involved in this election, but more importantly, you could get others activated and involved in this election. If you don't have time to do the phone banking, that's okay. You can text out the voter guide to your friends and family, right? So please make sure you take the time to download Outreach Circle. We need everybody on there, right? And just as a special promotion, just for today, if you download Outreach Circle today, we'll throw in a free mask. Make sure you go once Outreach Circle is open. You go in, there'll be a button there to get your free mask. You click on that, you enter your address, and we'll send you our free Commit to Equity Invest in Our Communities mask. All right. So we need everybody to commit to Outreach Circle, sharing the voter guide, and also getting activated and coming out and phone banking. Now, really quick, I'm going to try to breeze through this as much as possible. If you all have any follow-up questions, feel free to dump them into the Q&A. And as soon as I'm done with my part of the presentation, I'll get to typing some responses. So how to vote. Number one, you want to check your voter registration status. Now, technically, the voter registration deadline has passed. So but California has up to same day voter registration. So you can register to vote at any voting center, at any voting location in the county, even on November 3rd. The only difference is the ballot they give you will be provisional. Once your application is approved, your ballot counts, right? So even if you didn't make the October 19th filing deadline, that's okay. You can write up to November 3rd, right? And you can do it in person if you'd like. So option one, way to vote by mail, right? So everybody should have received their ballots by mail. If not, go back to that previous one, make sure you're registered, and there'll be links on there to tell you what to do if you haven't received your ballot, right? Now, if you're going to return your ballot, you got to make sure you sign it and make sure it's mailed or postmarked before Election Day, November 3rd. Now, if you're like me and you don't want to take any chances because Donald Trump has been trying to sabotage the Postal Service, there are over 400 ballot drop boxes throughout the county, and you can also drop them off at any of the more than 800 voting centers as well. So make sure you fill yours out. Make sure that it's signed. That is really key. They will not accept your vote if you didn't sign your ballot. Make sure that you fill it out properly. So just like in school, when they give us those instructions, we can't just do a check mark. You can't do an X. You can't just circle it. I know for a lot of us, this is our first time voting by mail, and the ballot looks very different from what we're used to. So just make sure, just like on the test that we would do in school, black or blue pen, and make sure you color in the entire circle. All right, so voting centers are open now. They've been open as of last Saturday, and they're going to be open through Election Day. There's two sets of voting centers. There's the ones that opened last Friday and are open through Election Day, and there are those that are going to be open starting this Friday and are going to through Election Day as well. So come Friday, all voting centers will be open. There are over 800 locations throughout the county. We'll make sure to drop these into this link into the chat. But if you want to find your local voting center, please check this out. I myself went with my kids on a walk. We dropped off our ballot. It was great. We had some mic on the way back, in case you were wondering. Last thing really quick, voting in person is still an option. I know there's a lot of you, and rightfully so, there's a lot of distrust around handing your ballot, putting your ballot into a box, or giving it to the mail person, or just putting it into the mailbox, given all the craziness this president has pulled over the last 4 years. So rest assured that if you go vote in person, there are protections around COVID, and make sure that you are wearing a mask. And gloves if possible. If you don't have gloves, that's okay. The voting center will provide you with a mask and gloves if you don't have them. Right now, there are people that are wiping down and sanitizing all of the services after the ballot marking of each voter. So if you remember, in March, they had the new touch screens. And so they have a person there who's responsible, or a set of people, for sanitizing each and every one of those after every voter. They'll be socially distanced, 6 feet, and you better believe all of the election workers will be wearing masks and gloves as well. So folks, just to recap, we want to make sure you get activated. So download Outreach Circle, share your voter guide, right? Get activated, get involved. If there was ever an election for you to be a part of, it's this one. Part 2, join a phone bank. We have a few going on today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Join us for Get Out the Vote, the big days. If you had to choose one day, come Saturday, come Tuesday. But the point is, we got to call folks, and we got to make sure that they hear from you. Remember, voters are hearing from these commercials. They're hearing from corporate people. They're not hearing from people that work at schools, right? So your voice is absolutely valuable. You can speak firsthand to all of the challenges that we face in schools and everything that our kids have to put up with because we don't have the revenue and the funding to provide a quality schools for our kids, right? Now, lastly, of course, it should go without saying, you got to vote. If you can vote, vote. And I don't know what else to say about that, but we got to vote. We need to vote. There's too much at stake. District Attorney, Prop 15, Prop 25, Prop 22. There's way too much at stake. And again, please make sure that you point your camera at the QR code. We'll also drop a link into the chat in case the QR code stuff isn't working for you. You can click on that and you can join. And I think with that, I'm trying to exit the, here we go. All right, I think with that, I'm done, and I'll answer any questions in the Q&A. And for those of you that pray, light a little candle for the Dodgers tonight.
Thank you very much, Lester. Okay, next we're gonna go into our bargaining unit report backs. And we'll start off, P, are you ready with the slides? Or Margaret, who's gonna be explaining them? All right, here we go. And we'll start off with MAOF, and we have Claudia Irajeta with that report. Claudia?
Okay, for MAOF, good afternoon, everybody. We're working with social distancing protocols that are in place to ensure that students and worker safety. Wellness checks are in place with proper PPE for those conducting testing, gloves, gowns, and face masks. We are working with MAOF regarding recent closure of work sites due to positive COVID cases. Contact tracing is occurring, and we are communicating with member leaders and members. For options, we have been notified of options in state intent of layoff workers. We are working with the California Labor Federation to have workshops on Thursdays, October the 29th from 3 to 5 p.m. to provide information on the unemployment process, and a representative will be attending from EDD and American Job Center. Additional updates will be provided on our website. And that's all I have to report for early ed.
Yes, thank you, Claudia. So from there, we move into the community college district slide. I'll read it off. I don't see Demita's on the line. So for our community college district, there is a memorandum of understanding on the return to work. And that was signed on October the 23rd, 2020. There are quite a few provisions in this MOU. Some of the topics or some of the agreement items are in regards to union members will return to their original work locations and work schedules on or about October the 26th, 2020, which started yesterday, to provide clean, safe, and sanitary conditions for campus operations. Unit members may request for accommodations to be exempt from physically reporting to campus for designated reasons outlined in the MOU. Provisions to attendance reporting, employee safety and PPE, COVID-19 testing, professional development, district provided Chromebooks and IT support, sick leave, telecommute and training, and compensation. So this MOU covers more in depth in regards to each one of these subjects, and the MOU may be found on our website, which is www.SEIU99.org. So all of our LACCD members can go ahead and visit our website for that information. The next employer we have is Laco, the Los Angeles County of Education. Most of the units members continue to work remotely. Union members with assignments continue to be provided with appropriate PPE PPE, excuse me, and in adherence to established public health guidelines. Joint health benefits bargaining with CSEA and LACA continue. From there, we go into our other jurisdiction, which is inclusive of Compton Unified. And I see Ms. Adrian is on the line. I'm going to be passing it over to her to share this information with us. Adrian?
Hello, everyone. Compton Unified continues to be provided with the PPE training and appropriate equipment. We're working on the final draft for our MOU. Uh-oh. Let me go to my other right here. The final draft of the, can you hear me? Okay. The final draft of the MOU to be submitted to employer may need to schedule additional caucuses and meetings with the district. Okay.
Thank you, Adrian. Next, we'll have Marisol Aguilar with Hacienda La Puente. Marisol.
Hi, everybody. This is Marisol Aguilar. Shout out to my Valley peeps. From La Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. Early retirement incentive has been approved by the Board of Education, and current MOU shall expire in full without president on December 31st, 2020. Adrian?
Okay. Linwood Unified School District. Employees continue employee safety and training. PPE temperature checks are continued by management. Employees working night shifts are provided with self-check by answering COVID questions. Contact tracing protocols are in place and is being conducted by district nurse. Benefits in play. Excuse me. Benefits and pay. EPSL and FFCRA are in place for employees. Benefits if COVID is contracted. During the next meeting, we will discuss the extension of the MOU regarding compensation for reporting on site with COVID. Custodians' discussions about them keeping their night differential will be discussed. Negotiations continue regarding extension regarding reopening of schools.
Thank you, Adrian. Marisol with Montague.
Hello, everybody again. Montague Charter Academy. Negotiations continue regarding the extension of the current MOU in place around reopening of school sites. Additional information will be provided to the members. Adrian, back to you.
Okay, Torrance Unified School District.
Actually, I'll take it. Next is Pleasant Valley, Adrian.
Okay.
You're after the I'll go back to you, Adrian. Pleasant Valley School District, full contract extended through June 30, 2021. No layoffs or reduction in hours to date or pending. Appropriate PPE and COVID-related training and procedure in place. Additional assignments are reasonably related to established duties by classification. Next slide, please. And I'll take Santa Monica, Malibu. We have fact-finding on the district's decision to lay off child development workers, and some other positions has occurred, and additional information will be provided. Negotiations on school reopening is scheduled to commence. Next, we have the accelerated schools, TAS. TAS remains committed to maintaining a safe working environment and will continue to be vigilant in this regard. The bargaining team is in continued conversations regarding the reopening of TAS. And next we have Adrian with Torrance Unified. Next slide.
Okay, we are working on final drafts of MOU to submit to employer. We may need to schedule additional caucuses and meetings with the district.
And for
I'll take it,
Ventura,
Adrian.
we have Marisol.
Yes, hi. VCCD, reopening plans limited to hands-on courses have been established for all 3 colleges with appropriate PPE, training, and assignments made for the unit members. Whenever possible, unit members continue to work remotely. Back to you, Conrado.
Thank you, Marisol. Next, we're gonna go with LAUSD. Reopening of schools. On August 14th, 2020, your bargaining team completed reopening negotiations for Units B, Units C, Unit F, and Unit G. All agreements are located on our SEIU Local 99 website to print and provide your administration as needed. Pay stipend of $3.50 is in place for all members assigned to report to a physical work site. Child care program will be supported by our Beyond the Bell members and will commence on Monday, August 31st, 2020. There are protections against layoffs in our side letters. COVID testing will be provided and identified classifications will assist in one of the 4 areas with training, register and scan barcode, label testing sample, place sample in the transport rack, or support and supervise sample collection. Next slide, please.
I'll take that one, Conrado, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, LAUSD Safety Committee meetings. We met on 10/20/2020 to discuss an ongoing concern about the many questions regarding test protocols, testing locations, and proper PPE. That needs to be at every location. If there isn't, please. Any questions or concerns, please submit an inquiry at www.seiu99.org/inquiry/. Thank you all.
And this is a calendar of the pay adjustment dates. If you haven't received your stipend yet, I know some people have and some people haven't. These are the dates that the district has given for adjustments. So that's also on our website where you can download that to have with you. Next slide. All right, we are working diligently to ensure members continue to be in paid status, benefits are in place, and proper personal protective equipment is provided to all workers. All right, thank you very much. And that concludes our report backs from our industries. Next, I'm gonna talk to you guys again about Outreach Circle. We just heard from the different tables where we have been negotiating with employers. It is important that we connect the dots between negotiations and the upcoming election. The candidates we elect will decide on our future contracts. When we pass Prop 15, we'll finally have the funding to negotiate for more staffing, better wages, and resources to improve student services. And the outcome of the U.S. president and congressional races will directly impact funding for the safe return to schools, COVID-19 recovery, and funding for school transportation, special education, school nutrition programs, childcare, and much more. Can we get the slide with the QR for the outreach, please? Is that you, Lester? All right, so if you haven't done so, make sure you make a plan to vote. Also, the QR code is on the screen again. Take a minute, take out your phones, take a picture of it, follow the link, and just make sure that you have this outreach. Like Lester said, it's not just for election season. We're going into bargaining, and this is the way we're going to be communicating. It's the fastest way we can to get the messages out there when we have bargaining. We continue to do the same avenues, but this is the most up-to-date information you can get through this app. Okay, so take a minute, take a picture, download it, and I'll give you guys 30 seconds.
Just really quick, Conrado, folks don't have to take a picture at it. You literally just open your camera and point it, and you'll get the pop-up.
Correct. Okay, so now, like Max said earlier, commit to phone banking starting tomorrow. You can actually do this some today. Reach out to your rep. They'll be organizing phone bankings today, tomorrow, Thursday, Saturdays, and Tuesday of election day. So download this app, stay up to date, and don't forget, just like Lester said, just today you're gonna get this nice face covering that we are giving out with when you sign up for this. Okay. Next, we're going to go to our question and answer portion of our meeting today. I want to remind you that you can put your questions in the question and answers. Some of the staff has been answering the questions that have been coming up, and I'll turn it over to Blanca, our communications director, to ask some questions or to ask one of our most frequently asked questions today. Blanca.
Yes, thank you, Conrado. So yes, many of the questions are being addressed in the Q&A, but I've taken some of the more frequently asked questions. We'll address them now with the panelists, especially for the benefit of those of you who are joining us via phone call. So many questions continue about safety and testing. So the first question is, LAUSD is making testing mandatory for everyone. I heard the district wants us all back in the classroom in January. When can we expect to go back to in-person learning? I'm going to direct that to Pam Stevenson, who's been working with the safety committee.
Hi, everyone. So there has been a lot of discussions on what the model would look like once we go back in to session. We're trying to figure out which model. However, there has been no discussion on the dates going back in. As soon as we get that information, not only will we post it on the website, I'm sure there will be some notification that will come out from district as well in order for folks to prep. As far as the testing, I'm sorry, could you repeat part of that, Blanca, as far as the testing?
Oh, that the district is making it mandatory for everyone because I guess members have heard that the district wants everyone back in January.
Okay, so no, the testing is being done because, as you know, LAUSD is the second largest school district in the nation. Not only are they going to be testing the employees, they're going to be testing the students, they're going to be testing the families of the students, the families of the employees. So we want to make sure people are safe and we are able to track anybody who is infected and those that they may come in contact with. So it is for the safety of everyone involved. So that's the purpose of the ongoing testing. But as far as because of a return date, yes, before you go back to work, you're going to have to be have had a negative test, right? Because we don't want to harm anyone. So, but there has been no dates, and yes, the testing is happening for everyone.
Okay, thank you, Pam. There's another question about testing. How often do I have to get tested?
At this time, those that are at the work sites, that are out in the field, the essential workers out in the field, they are being tested weekly. And that is, again, for the purposes of keeping people safe as possible. Of course, we have no cure. There is nothing in place like that just as of yet. So we're trying to do the best we can to make sure the environment is as safe as it is. And people at home, I believe they're being done by appointments, and that is ongoing. But those that are out in the field working with other people are being tested weekly. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Pam. Another question about testing, and this is regarding privacy. So this member says they're fine with having their temperature taken, but what privacy measures are being taken in terms of their other information being available?
All your information is being, if you test positive, right, negative, whatever it is, that's LAUSD is working in coalition with the health department. That is necessary. It is no different than TB testing, and this is for the purposes of making sure that we can alert people that have been exposed. No other folks will have access to that information. And again, I want to reiterate that the HIPAA laws apply also in this situation. Okay.
Thank you, Pam. So another question regarding the reopening of in-person classes, a question about whether the early education centers will reopen before the K through 12 grades. Do we know anything about that?
I know that people have been hearing things like that over the media, and I just want everyone to be mindful. Before anything opens up, they have to notify us, the union, your union, our union. And once they do that, there's discussions that happen. So it wouldn't be like they let us know today and then they'd be opening up tomorrow, right? So none of that has occurred. Probably the conversations that you are hearing and the things that you are feeling is because we're getting a lot of information from the media and different things are happening. However, that has not been discussed with LAUSD, and we have no plans of reopening at this time.
And rest assured, if I may, and rest assured that any type of opening or any type of going back to schools, we're going to make sure, since it comes through us first, like Pam Stevens has just said, we will make sure that we put everything in place before anything takes place. We will make sure that everything is done in a CDC manner or in a health manner, just making sure that everything is fine and ready for us to go back. So I wouldn't worry.
Thank you, Marisol. Another question about testing is, can I opt out of working in a testing center if I'm concerned about my health or my family member's health? Will I get paid if I opt out? Or do I have to use sick leave?
Well, if it's your desire not to work in the testing sites, you have the option of telling your supervisors that you're not comfortable doing that. When you make that decision, then yes, your benefits will probably be impacted if there's no other area, meaning that did you come from somewhere else, such as special ed assistants that was a substitute that can go back into the pool and they continue to be in that pool to pick up other work? You might find yourself in a situation where you might have to use your benefits. But yeah, they can't mandate you to work in the testing site, but there are those are some things that would occur if you decided not to take those hours.
Right, and just, I'm sorry, can I add also to this? Substitutes, if you do decide to opt out of these testing sites, just be aware that anything over less than 5 days, that if you're not committed to a job that's 5 days, they are trying to catch those and cancel them. So if you've been seeing cancellations left and right, this is why. It's because the district is canceling anything that's not 5 days or more. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we move on to some questions about contract bargaining, the full contract bargaining. Will classified employees get a raise? And if so, when?
Well, contract bargaining has not begun yet, obviously, because we are still negotiating over MOUs and the hybrids and things of that nature. However, we have sunset the proposals. And once we get to a place where things are stable, contract bargaining will begin. At that time, we will be requesting for raises, right? But I'm going to tie this back into what you've been hearing all evening. That's why Proposition 15 is so important. That's why you need to get out there and fight to make sure that we pass that, because that supports our ask for more monies. Okay?
Thank you. Another question about joining the bargaining team. Is it too late to join the bargaining team, specifically delegates for Unit F? There are no delegates on the team for Unit F, so how can members join the bargaining team?
Yes, we have had elections already, so the bargaining team has been established. I do believe there is a vacancy for Unit F. At that, and with that being said, if you reach out to us, if you can reach out to us through the MRC, we'll make sure that we follow up with you to figure out what how we can figure that out so that we have representation for Unit F. And that's great that you want to participate. That's exactly what we need in a leader. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more question. Let me see. I know there's a lot about testing. What are the protocols or guidelines if someone working at the COVID-19 testing site comes out positive? Are the workers entitled to be told?
If you are working with, absolutely, you are going to be told, those that have been working in close proximity with that person. That's how they do the contact tracing. And what was the other piece about that? The protocol. Okay, I'm sorry. And the protocol would be that if you test positive, they will be informing you. You will be told to stay home and self-quarantine. Under the MOUs, all of the MOUs, we have your bargaining team negotiated language that states that for the first 10 days, work days, which equals out to 14 days, including the weekend, that you are to stay at home, self-quarantine, and you will be paid. If it goes past that time, there will be instructions from as to what to do you know, if it goes further than that. But it will be no impact to your benefited time. It is paid. And those that are exposed, same situation. They would notify you and you would self-quarantine. So that is the process and the protocol. And I think that was it on that question, correct?
Yes, thank you, Pam. So that's all the time we have for questions during the session. As Conrado mentioned at the beginning, everyone who asked a question, you will receive a response. An organizer will be following up with you to address your question. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Conrado.
Thank you very much, Blanca, and thank you very much, Pam and Marisol. Hopefully, a lot of your questions were answered. And like Blanca said, or an organizer will respond to anything, so go ahead and ask questions. Thank you all for joining us today. We're just days away from election day, so be sure to go out and vote. Drop your ballot in the mail or in an official drop box by November 3rd. There's a lot at stake in this election that will affect our wages, our jobs, and public education for years to come. So I encourage you to also help move the vote. And like Pam said, if Prop 15 doesn't pass, and Lester also mentioned it, it's going to make it more difficult to bargain for wages and better staffing without the funding that's there. As we know, funding here in California is very low for students and education. So if you say, oh, I don't really like politics, well, this is politics directly impacting you at your job site, right? So also download the Outreach app to share our education with education, or to share education worker voter guides with your family and friends, and also sign up for some virtual banking. We're calling voters all the way up to election day. You can call from the comfort of your home. All you need is a phone, a computer, and an internet connection, and join as long as you can. So to sign up, go to our website at SEIU99.org and click on Move the Vote, or reach out to your organizer or to one of the members of the executive board. They can connect you with an organizer. They can hook you up with this, and maybe we'll see you, because they also have a Zoom meeting during this time, and you can see who else is phone banking with you. And so let's make our voices heard. And thank you very much for joining us today. And like Lester says, enjoy the Dodger game tonight, and have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Go Dodgers. Woo!
Good night, everybody. Thank
Dodgers.
you.